Welcome back, one and all, to the LCS Challengers League. I am Mazel. I'm joined by Magical, maybe a little bit mad, and I've got Cubby, the literal bear. As gentlemen, welcome to the day. We have an interesting but fun day ahead of us, and a long one too. Magical, you ready and prepped to go?
I don't think he's an actual bear. I think it's just a nickname.
No, he's a literal bear.
I think it's just a nickname. Unless
Jury's still out on that one.
That is a hairless bear if I've ever seen one.
Look, there's a bear in the image right now.
That doesn't mean that he's a bear.
Anyways, Cubby, how you doing? You hanging in there?
I'm doing great, man.
Bears speak? Okay.
I'm doing great. Third day broadcasting in a row, Mazel. Almost feel like I'm on your schedule, you know. So I'm working on getting there. I just need the 2 different sleep time zones, baby. And
also set up your sleep schedule right in the middle of your sleep schedule. Just wake up.
Yeah. Also,
just cut it in half.
I mean, Mad Magical just coming off that schedule as well. So
I had what was it, 8 days straight of work while I was in Macau, and then 30 hours of travel. Worked yesterday for 7-8 hours. Yeah, got a ton of sleep. Finally got a ton of sleep.
Honestly,
and now here I'm back.
We got all the energy. We got all the energy ready to go. We got to keep going though, guys. We do have a long day ahead of us, and we also do want to take some time to make sure we give a shout out because it is Pride Month, and we got to give a shout out to all of our LGBTQIA+ community members, as well as our staff, team members, whoever is a part of our community. You got to protect them. You got to love them. The support for these people do not end at the end of this month. It goes throughout the year, and you've got to make sure that we have a lot of protection for our friends and family, especially people you know closely. So make sure you're giving some love out there and make sure you're representing well. And speaking of, we got to represent a little bit of our NACL talent throughout this week, as we've had some interesting developments throughout our plays of the week. I think it's been a really cool shtick that we've had so far across 2 weeks, where we've had community voters come out for our plays of the week. And this week we had a standout voter of a one and only Quacker, who after getting second place last week did not want to be updone this week. So let's go ahead and take a look. So, because it's still just a static shift, even how impressive that is. And now Quacker, here he comes. He's got that dominance, and he's looking at a 1v4. He can't get Trevor. Trevor can't get to him, but he still takes down the kills, and Quacker is a monster!
This Croc is online. Quacker keeps making plays, and it is an overwhelming success for Supernova.
I gotta be honest, I feel like the play last week deserved it more.
Thank you! Thank you!
The Aphelios quad.
God. I was about to say
spice,
that.
bro.
No, wait, hold on, Cubby. I'm gonna let you finish, but yesterday I even said it felt like Leonardo DiCaprio, where he won the Oscar for the Random Bear movie, when it really should have been for Django Unchained.
Bear movie? That was actually like a grueling movie, all right?
I watched about 30 minutes and fell asleep, so.
I'm gonna say, shout out to Supernova. You know, part of democracy is about voter turnout. They definitely got the voters to turn out and vote for Quacker. So that's a quack back right there.
Well, you know somebody who's got my vote. It is you in the NA Talent Update. Let's go ahead and check in with what you had.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the NA Talent Update. Not only do we have 2 weeks of Challengers action to get you through, but we also have OQs going on alongside our Challengers League. To update you on all things OQs, we have Summer to help us out.
Hey Challengers League fans, Summer here with an update from the NACL qualifiers. We've got some super exciting teams fighting for spots in the Summer Promotion Tournament later this split. So far, there's one team that stands out as the clear frontrunner, and that team is Mirage Alliance. With Alorum, Neo, and Dardoch, this team is stacked with LCS experience. Even Chad got a game on the big stage. These guys not only have years of experience, but also some strong recent performances. Sudsy recently played on Team Tony Top, who won enough to promote in spring, and Dardoch and Alorum were parts of the Collegiate Championship winning UST roster earlier this month. Mirage Alliance is currently undefeated in their series, including a 5-0 finish in the Swiss stage and a win in their first group stage match. Challengers League teams, beware, because if you place too low and go to the promotion tournament, this team is sure to be your biggest competition.
Here at Challengers, when we talk about North America, we're sure that it's not just the US, and we never forget to include our cold friends up north in Canada. So to catch us up, here's Sierra and Beattown with the Canadian update.
Ooh, thanks, Cubby. But so far up here in Canada, it's a hot one, eh?
Us simple Canadians can't handle this hot weather, but hopefully our Canadian players in the NACL have some cool place to help us out.
Oh, look at Zamudo over there, eh? Sometimes you cool down under a large tree, but what about a large rock? Zamudo throwing some shade over Disguise's way with this big engage.
Alright, that was a little cool, eh? A little relief from the heat.
Do we have anything cooler? It's still too hot.
Oh, well, they might be called Team Liquid, but it's Arrow getting dunked under the water by Onat here, and APA can't escape him either. Definitely keeping him and everyone around him cool. Way to get her done.
Wow, so cooling, so refreshing, eh? Just what I needed on a hot summer day.
Oh, wait, Beat, the shade is gone. Help me out.
Oh, well, Spyrex has got your back, keeping it cold and calculated with a minion axe so cool, it completely froze Evil Geniuses out of the game.
Thanks, Myrat. That's coolest.
Ah, that's so much better. Thanks to our Canadian players for crushing it as always. Stay cool out there.
We've had a lot of Milio in Challengers, as literally every region can relate. So, here's Kangas himself with a breakdown of what it's like to play against.
Ultra Mega Fire Kick. Cozy Campfire. Warm Hug. Breath of Life.
And that's been it for this summer's first episode of the NA Talent Update. Thanks to all my friends who helped out, especially Summer from OQ. And until next week, may your week be filled with positive gaming experiences.
I think all of that was a positive gaming experience, especially the
Yes.
part where I got to kick Steve with a giant beach ball.
Best part.
Representing
Best part.
what it feels like to play against Melio, okay?
You know,
I thought that was just representing how it is to live with Kangas. That's what I thought you were about to
Okay,
say.
no los dos.
personally, you know, I enjoyed where we got to spread fake news about the weather up in Canada. I don't know how ice cream
Yeah.
can melt up there. I don't
Also,
think that's
like,
possible.
what is hot for them,
It does
right? What
get
is actually
summer
hot?
up there, guys,
Yeah,
all right?
yeah,
It
yeah,
does,
like, okay,
the
60,
sun
70
still
degrees.
shines.
60, 70 degrees is not hot. Let's be honest. That's a cold day.
Don't talk to me about that because now that I've lived in LA, it feels like that's hot. Anyways, let's go ahead and get over to our standings as we still have a very dominant horse in this race. And it is TLC, a little bit of Tender Love and Care, 12-2 on the split so far. And then we got a little bit of runners up. FlyQuest really making a big comeback. Fear as well. Literally, at the end of last week, or at the start of last week, they were at the very bottom of the table. They were in 10th, and now here they are in 3rd.
They have a good test on the second stream to kick off the day over there at twitch.tv/path to LCS, going up against Disguised, where I'm sure a lot of the co-streamers will be. But I'm excited to see if AOE can make any waves, because I'm surprised that AOE is at the bottom of our standings. I feel like the 0-2 against Maryville definitely hurt them, given the Lynx PC issue. I really wish they could have played them on even footing, but going up against our top team that we have, it feels like TLC, the space that is represented between them and the rest in the standings, isn't as representative as the gap I feel like I see on the Rift when TLC is playing. They feel head and shoulders above the rest of our teams in this league.
By far. I mean, just yesterday, the series against Wildcard, too, where Wildcard, and they had really good drafts, and in most scenarios, most teams, they win with those drafts, just scaling up the game. But Team Liquid, they're able to find these ways to kind of, and very creative, added to find these fights and catch off members of Wildcard that enabled them to get things like the Baron, or even outlast a Baron buff that Wildcard was able to sneak away from them.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see how kind of the meta has also played into a lot of the development of our teams and a lot of the aggressive nature of some of our teams, and especially Fear. You know, shout out to Perry with the Penta and Kendrick. Yeah. No big deal.
Oh my god, the comms.
Did you see the comms?
The comms are great. The comms
I
are
wish
great.
you could just play those.
I played it on my stream yesterday, and that's definitely when I got the most chat engagement. Go check out Perry Jungle, Perry JG LOL if you want to see the comms from that pentakill. It is wild. It's really funny.
That's
Well,
why
it
it's
was
also like made a little mashup of it. It was really funny.
Oh, and it's funny, like in the interview too with JJ, he was talking about how vocal the team is, and you're like, oh,
Really?
how vocal are they?
They're not
how
that
vocal really
vocal.
are they? And then you hear that, and you're like, oh, okay.
They're literally war chanting as they take down the entire team. Gotta love it. But something else I've really loved is looking at how our teams, and I was kind of foreshadowing to it earlier, have picked through the meta and all the different changes that we've had, all the things that we've seen. I know in the LPL we've had a lot of crazy stuff. We had Scion Jungle as well in the LCK. So I love to see some of this meta picked, and I love to see our developing stars kind of come through that. So I made a bingo card for the day that we're going to be keeping track of. Maybe I made it hard enough so I don't actually have to have a bingo prize at the end. You know, we're going to have a little bit of fun with this one. So I've gone ahead and put together a little list. And here we go. You see the red dot in the top corner? That'll be if you get anything right. But if you want, we can pick through this a little bit. If there's anything that stands out to you guys, anything that's interesting. Some of them are meanings. So, like, they have a further meaning behind them. That's why some of them are just logos.
So
but mostly general.
For example, the Poppy with the Kangas emote below, that is a Poppy Flex or Flex Poppy. So I want to see that
Poppy
picked in draft where it could go top or jungle. So that's, or I guess support maybe sometime counts.
What's
we
the
have a few
bottom,
things,
bottom
though.
right one in the corner?
Pentakill! That's our Pentakill emote.
It gets
Okay.
cut off,
It
so
does
it's kind
get
of hard.
cut off.
Yeah,
I'm
so I
gonna
was
try
like,
to-
wait a minute,
try
what's
to
going on
zoom it out
there?
a little bit.
There we
And
okay,
bring
there
it
we
to
go. There we
focus.
go. That's better.
Maybe
That's
that's
better.
a little bit better.
Look at this tech on the fly. But we'll be keeping track of this throughout the entire day. Is that a question? Can you get diagonal bingos?
Yes.
We're gonna count. Okay.
You
Just wanted to make
absolutely
sure.
can.
Wanted to make
It
sure.
has to be 4.
Yes, it has to be 4, which it's going to be a little difficult. Again, we'll see if you guys get the prize at the very end of the road, but it should be a fun day. We do have Ivern and Rel enabled now, so this will be kind of what we're looking at in that fashion.
Well, the Ivern's a free. We got a free space on the board, thankfully, with the Ivern.
Oh, yeah, you think so, huh? You think so?
I think
Static Shiv. We have Static Shiv, too, yeah. We got 2 free spaces. This is great.
It's, you know, hey.
Actually, we got 3 if you think about it.
I'm
We're one
starting to
away
give
from
you
getting a
some easy
bingo.
ones, all right? Because some of them are really hard. But anyways, we're going to be getting to our first match of the day. It should be a very fun one. It's AOE Gold versus Team Liquid Honda Challengers. And especially looking at the AOE roster, I am so happy to see a little bit of life given to this roster. A lot of big pieces we've known throughout the developmental scene in NA. Will specifically, the summer child coming in, magical, but
Yes.
the team has really been on fire.
Except for yesterday. Don't watch the games yesterday.
You know,
More the
recency
best.
bias aside.
Yeah, recency bias aside, there were still great moments for AOE Gold, right? And actually, it's funny. Will might be the summer child, but Lynx is the one getting all my attention. When we watched them in the summer promotion, there was a player that kind of stood out, and that was also because it was a bot lane focused meta. The Jinx was like the big pickup for him. But even when they get a lot of the wins so far here in summer, it has been off the back of Lynx and his team fight prowess.
Yeah, it truly has. And I think you've seen an adaptation from Lynx, not only in those kind of comfort picks we know him from, but also some leaning into the meta, being that kind of late game hyper scaling carry. But we do got to focus on Will because he'll have a tough matchup today. He'll be going up against previous MVP Mir. And I think the matchup itself, we've seen Will get ahead and ahead and ahead by himself. And he does not find a lot of support in the end, right? He had insane KDAs across the board last weekend, and Cubby, it's definitely something we have to see coming into today.
Yeah, I was going through some of the tape to find clips on Will, and I know that his KDAs were insane, but a lot of it was just picking up, random kills on the back half, like straggling kills. So I want to see Will continue to team fight with this team the way that we know they can, because when they are at their best, I think AOE can play on the same page, and Will, for me, is someone that I still have really high expectations for, not only at this level, but a potential to go to a higher level in the future as well.
And I think a big thing with Will, too, that we saw actually be very successful just yesterday up against Supernova was actually... not Supernova, sorry. Was up against, let me just check. Fear, sorry, Cincinnati Fear. I was Trevor. That's what... Trevor got me confused that he wasn't there, and I always think of that. But the fact that we look at how that game was, it was actually Will, Darkwings, and Breezy. Those 3 as this big trio. They were the ones causing all the chaos on the map and were one of the main reasons why AOE even looked competitive in a lot of those fights.
And we got to go ahead and bring up their challengers, the Team Liquid Honda variety. It has been an interesting story for them. Specifically, APA really, honestly, I feel like setting the trend of the meta in ACL. He has been a monster on a lot of his picks. But Arrow, specifically for me, has been one of our best ADCs in the entire league. Cubby.
Arrow's been really, really impressive, as I think that really for TLC, it feels like this is a team that took all the learnings that they had from regular season to playoffs last year. We saw them go from 9th to 3rd place, and it's all stuck with them. This team, the way they're playing the map and how aggressive they're able to be early, the same page that they're on from top to bottom, it feels like all 5 members are playing the same game, and they're actually playing some really good League of Legends here in Challengers.
They really are.
I feel like a lot of it actually is like how APA and Mir look together. I think those two are like a big power point. Obviously, Mir, he was our most valuable prospect of spring, so it's no surprise that we put a lot of focus on him. But I feel like even more so in this split, it's really been about how these two teams, these two players for the team have been winning out the 2v2 in mid, rotating around the map to set up Mir even more so. Like the fact that they played that Nautilus game for APA with the Graves jungle, and as you can see this play right here, where it did have the play of the week beforehand, you just see that they understand the limits of one another. And I think that's been the biggest growth for me with TLC. The fact that these two look so good together.
I love this clip from Mir, because just the patience and target selection, knowing that Donbray's free, he waited to go over until he got his Q back up, and then just take another freebie and lens. No one was blocking for him. Mir continuously, for me, makes good decisions on the rifts. And I think the big difference for TLC this time around, they haven't won every early game, but they are smoking teams in mid game. And that reminds me of TL teams of the past, which is a really good sign for these guys moving forward. In a league this split where I feel like the level of play, you ask a lot of the teams and coaches, they don't feel like it's quite as high as we've seen in the past. But it feels like TLC haven't missed a beat, and they are still bringing that high level of play and toppling everyone else in the league.
That is very true. We'll see if that continues here as well. All eyes are on this jungle matchup. Can Will make amends or make good against Mir? Or will Mir be popping out another play of the week candidate here? We'll be getting in draft number 1 here, guys, so take it away.
Will, Mir, Will. One of the things. We'll have to look at that. Had to say that on broadcast, but looking at this one, I think that actually is where I have a lot of my eyes, is the early game for Will has been one of his strongest suits. And I talked about the trio of him, Breezy, and Darkwings. That was a lot of the power they brought against Cincinnati Fear. While Mir, you were talking about how the entirety of TLC have looked so good in this mid game. And so that's why I want to see just how much can Will get done before Mir and the rest of TLC come online in mid.
We're going to have to see. As I think AOE, they have had some good early games and moments. I still think pretty highly of Will. I don't think this is a team that it's going to end the split bottom of the standings. So I'm hoping that we see better play from AOE and a good chance for them to really be put to the test against, again, our strongest team that we have in the league at the moment.
Hey, but the last time TLC played a team that was in last place, they did split the series, 1 apiece. Team Fish Tacos were in last place when they actually were able to take quite a big upset up against TLC.
True.
And so I'm almost wondering if maybe that's going to be the power here for AOE, the unexpected going into this draft, especially as we see that the Twisted Fate against APA, especially with Static Shiv now being so prevalent, even more so. Like APA was already playing it beforehand. Now with Static Shiv, I feel like that is a highly underutilized champion.
And this tells me that AOE might be looking for an early LeBlanc or Ahri. So with LeBlanc taken off the table, I'm expecting AOE to go for first pick Vi. That has been Will's most played champion, and it feels like AOE really build a lot of comps around that Vi R. But it's a new patch. We have seen Will, he played the Ivern yesterday. It didn't lead to a win, but I think that Ivern's a very strong champion at the moment. And curious to see what AOE ends up picking up, because at the moment, it feels like they're really giving away Rel and trying to play Alistar comps, given how good Breezy is on that champion. And actually, we have the Wukong taken away from the side of TL. So a bit surprising for me, switching things up and maybe really valuing how good Mir is at that champion.
Yeah, I think that's kind of why. It's almost like a 4th ban here, taking that away from Mir, since we know that he's such a good player on that. But Vi is still open.
Yeah, it should be Vi Ahri.
Exactly. I'm expecting the Vi Ahri here. APA has been doing a good job. I was just talking about the 2v2 in the mid lane when you look at Mir and APA, but instead of going for that, instead of going for kind of that strong duo, they decided to grab Arrow Xayah. And while, yes, the Xayah, nice, safe, especially when you have dive, I just like seeing Arrow on a lot more aggressive in-lane champions.
Opportunity to deny Rakan and Ahri. I think that AOE should deny the Ahri, as they have taken away a few of Ahri's bad matchups that APA likes to play. He still does have that Cassiopeia that he is willing to play into Ahri if he so chooses, as we actually have the marksman locked in. I like Ezreal here. I think that Ezreal has been really underplayed. Into Xayah, I feel like you can beat Xayah with range. Ezreal brings that to the table. And also you have the ability to create some space between yourself, Vi, and the rest of the team when Vi decides to press R on you. So want to see if Lynx can do this. And also, it's a good pairing with Rakan, so that's a deny. Now, we're going to have to see if APA decides to grab that Ahri, or if TL goes for Rel, as I think those are the two champions that they can really look at.
Yeah, either or right there. I think that's kind of a good shout, because when you look at what you want, the Rel being something that is also good at kind of denying Rakan a lot of those engages, especially with the mid scope, has a lot of easier time of just point click, almost stun. It's not quite a point and click, but you know what I mean. It's close enough.
It was a good matchup even in the past against Rakan. So seeing Kim Down take that, I think Kim Down's Rel it hasn't been the strongest in lane, but we've seen Kim Down have some really nice moments. I thought his Rel was actually really good against Wildcard yesterday, which was a pleasure to see. So see if Kim can bring that same performance on the Rift, whereas TLC going to continue to take away some mids. Azir never really been a champ that APA has been known for in his pool, whereas Darkwings feels very comfortable on the Azir, so that's taken away. And that tells me that they're going to force an Ahri ban from AOE. So that is denied from APA, as he has really proven that he is a strong Ahri and should not be allowed to have that champion.
But with these mid lanes getting banned, you know, it's really funny to think about, Cubby. Both APA and Darkwings like to play Cassiopeia. Both of them are equally good at that champion. And I feel like actually has a higher priority in this draft, especially because that Syndra getting banned, seeing that the Gwen afterwards, but Annie still left open.
APA would be willing to blind Cassio. That said, with the Gwen ban, Cassante is still on the board. That could be something that they decide to pick up for Bradley. There are matchups, though, that feel okay, and a lot of teams actually are prioritizing Renekton over Cassante now. The game's been snowballing, and Renekton has push early in the top lane and can win, but TLC going to go for that Annie, as you highlighted. So now we'll see if Darkwings goes for Orianna. I think Orianna saw some buffs on this patch. It's a pretty good matchup in the Annie, and I would really like to see that combined with Wukong plus Rakan. I think Ori would be a pretty decent pick this game.
Actually, I'm with you. Like the Cassiopeia I was talking about just because of the shared champion pool between the two. But really looking at what you need for this team with a Rakan and Wukong on your team, Orianna, I think, would be a very solid shout here for Darkwings to play, especially up against Annie. I feel like has a pretty safe lane phase.
You can Victor. I will say that Victor, especially in the Vi, is pretty good. But I don't know if you have the winning sides to actually support a Victor. But no, Darkwings, he's going to go for a Swain. So he's played this into Annie before. And given that quite a bit of TLC is going to be jumping in, I don't mind this actually coming out.
Okay, I know the last time you played it didn't have quite the best performance on the champion, but I do like that. I like looking at what is on the other side, how you can kind of play around a lot of the fights, and you don't have the best burst potential, but what's the wait?
If Bradley goes like something like Cassio top here, I think it's really good. Or Cho'Gath's really good. Okay, Bradley bringing out Cho'Gath. For me, this is a champion that has been a little bit forgotten about. And I like Cho'Gath here because Swain, you want to continue to push forward, push up. Cho'Gath with the Rupture, that's on like a 4-second cooldown. You can always use that to zone away Swain and give yourself a lot of space. And Cho'Gath has good targets, man. There is not a lot of upfront damage for Cho'Gath. He's just going to be able to eat a lot of poke, and they can burst someone. It has really good synergies with both Vi, Annie, and Rel. I really like this pick for TLC. I think it's a forgotten about answer into Sion. Keep in mind, Cho'Gath has pushed into the Sion matchup and a lot of sustain. So I really like this 5 pick. I feel like TLC made good use of it.
So I'm glad you talked about that, looking at the Cho'Gath into Sion especially, because back when Sion was kind of dominating the meta, we were kind of, you and I were both advocating for more Cho'Gath to be played. And so now, pulling that back here, Bradley saying, yeah, this is still a great matchup. Nothing's really changed between me and you, Sion. This lane still is going to favor Cho'Gath.
See if it's, I wonder if we're going to have the Heartsteel War in the top lane too, you know?
Wonder as well. Sorry, I was taking a sip of tea at the moment, but...
I caught you off with a rare short point, you know?
You did. I'm so used to you talking for a while, especially as we get into game 1 here between AOE and Team Liquid Honda Challengers. Like we were talking about, that top lane, the Cho'Gath Sion, actually a lot more exciting than you would think on paper, the two tanks. But going over to
really isn't, but I'm glad you feel that way, you know?
You want to know why? Because I love Cho'Gath. I like that champion. So it always makes me excited, especially because it is Bradley playing it. And Bradley is very well known for being a hyper-aggressive. Oh.
You know what?
All right, so let's talk about Darkwing's mid. Let's talk about that instead. Gubby, go ahead. Now I'm taking a sip of tea.
So I think Darkwings actually he's been known for Aatrox. I don't know how he picked his name. I feel like I want to just insert that, you know, maybe it involves Swain in the Azir too. But idea of Swain and the Annie is that Annie is very vulnerable to your E. And if you hit that, Swain can, like, you can kind of sustain Tibbers.
Yeah.
So Swain, really good against champs that have to go in. A lot of TL will be doing that. A lot of it's just going to be a game of can AOE land their ultimates with this Rakan, Wukong combo, and the Swain to make sure that you can play these fights where TL can't be slippery and escape. So I think that's really what we're going to be looking out for early, as Darkwings has shown that he's very comfortable playing this matchup. So want to see if Darkwings can play this into the Annie successfully. I think he's the only player that is actually answering Swain in the Annie.
Yes.
Which, right when Annie started to get popular, this is popular.
Right, at least the only player I know that is here in Challengers League. I'd have to look across the world to see if any of the minor regions maybe have played it. But off the top of my head, Darkwings has been playing that Swain. And I kind of like it too when you look at Will on this Wukong. I was talking about wanting to see Will and how much can he accomplish early into the game. I feel like Swain is one of those champions that can kind of enable him. Because into the Annie actually has really good push too. So if he needs to, he can roam around, kind of back up Will if Will wants to try to invade Mir.
This is Will's first Wukong of this split, but when he played on 100 Thieves last summer, his Wukong was filthy good.
Yes.
So I fun to see Will return, come back. I still think pretty highly of Will as a player, and I think that he's had a nice start to this split. As you can see the interaction there for Swain. As long as you connect those E's, this lane feels pretty damn good. So well done from Darkwings to find that one.
Just gotta keep APA pinned underneath this turret. Make it a little bit more difficult for that duo of Mir and APA to kind of group together and look for this blaze, which wouldn't surprise me to see Mir try to make his first action on the map about mid lane, really try to impact APA before looking anywhere else.
I'm excited to see also what Lynx can do in the back half, as I always think that a way to beat Xayah, because you're so vulnerable to Xayah if you walk into the feathers, just opening up big rips for herself. I really like when people play range into Xayah.
Yeah.
As I think that Ezreal is a way to consistently beat Xayah.
Hey, Cubby, I'll tell you one thing about marksmen. Usually they're ranged.
Yeah, but more range than magical. None are as ranged as Ezreal Q,
Caitlyn?
Sure. I'll give you that one.
Old Soraka and Annie?
Oh god, not old Annie, man.
The longest
650 auto range,
yeah. The longest one. Okay, well, let's put that on pause because right now it's Concept getting a little bit of attention here from Mir, but he was able to sidestep successfully from that engage from Mir. Just going to push back the wave a little bit.
Yeah.
Shocked. I'm a little shocked to see that Mir, the first action he tried to go for was on a Concept in this top lane because it is still weak side for either of them, the Cho'Gath or the Sion. And still looking mid lane. It's not a lead, right? It's only a couple CS, but Darkwings has been making it really difficult for APA to even want to venture out. Look at how much vision control they have all across the map.
So Mir showed up top because this lane is tough for Sion, and at this point, Cho'Gath can sustain mana, Sion cannot. So actually keeping that wave frozen, pretty good for Bradley. He can control when he wants to base, and Mir nothing else to do on the map. So even if that doesn't get anything done, I like the idea from Mir. And it still puts Concept in a tough spot. Bradley gets a really good reset from this. And yeah, APA is going to be down a little bit into the Swain matchup. That's just kind of how it goes.
He crashed down onto Lynx, and Lynx even having the Ignite on his head. Getting a lot of damage. Like I said, TL getting a really good trade there. Kim down, finding a good crash down to make sure they can lock down the Ezreal, as well as Lynx not wanting to use anything to try to get out of there.
You can see how much pressure Bradley can put on the Concept. He's just going to go for a Demolish proc. Might actually take a tower down.
That's all from Concept.
All available.
Bradley.
Does he have biscuits?
He does not have biscuits, so he doesn't have the mana for it. Just shy of having enough for it.
Yeah.
But Concept, I'm really surprised that Bradley was that greedy with that play. He wanted to get the Demolish proc, but it put him in such a vulnerable position that had there been enough mana from Concept, surely he was dead.
He loses Flash, so that's something that Will might look to target, whereas at the moment, Will... It was mirrored clears from both Will and Mir, so Will finishing off his second clear on this side of the map will be able to solo out that dragon by himself.
Who mirrored who? Who mirrored who? Did Will mirror?
Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
you got to answer the question there. Because right now,
man.
it is Will taking that dragon. I'm glad we're casting together again, Covey. It feels like you've forgotten just how it is to cast.
You know,
with me.
I'm be honest. There's a part of me that missed this. I do appreciate that. But hey, dragon will be dropped. We'll fix that up. And now, after next reset, I expect Herald to be in favor of TL, as this Cho'Gath really is powerful into the Scion. And also with the Bommy's difference, there will be a shove advantage for Bradley in that top side, as that should be enough for Mir to set up Herald and make it so that if AOE wants to think about contesting, I think they're going to need to bring Rakan and level 6. But even if that happens, if Kim matches, I very much favor TL on this Herald. So
As do I.
I want to see what AOE's response is to this.
They have sent up Breezy to look for a potential play, keeping them nearby, but they kind of realize, hey, nobody's down bot lane. There's always the potential that both Arrow and Kim Down are around here to look for that play around the Rift Herald. They're even going for this invade. They have a vision ward right there behind them. So they know Will's on top of this. That's why Blast going over. Mir with the ult as well. Ziggs is going to take over, so he has Cyclone. Will could utilize that if you want to try to escape this one. Got the sign on the other side, but he had to flash over the wall just to get out there, and the choo-choo train not going to collide.
Okay, Will at least able to save ult. I love the play, though, from Mir and Kim Down. If Will wasn't able to smite that blue buff for himself, he would have likely went down, as I think that level up might have been enough stats and the threat of having the ultimate to dissuade the rest of TL. You're going to get in, take another camp from Will. So this, again, should be enough for a Herald setup. Both supports are mid, trying to leech level 6 off the wave. But feels like TL going to be the ones to start this.
I don't think there's a way that AOE
can
contest. Yeah.
Mir is down at all, but Dark Wings has to walk back, so AOE has to really take their time, and Kim's doing a nice job of playing bodyguard here.
Yeah, and now that they see APA right there, you can't really do much if you're AOE. That's the biggest problem here. Like you said, look at where Darkwings is, and even stepping up that bar, Breezy put himself in a bad position. He had to flash away, but now that Darkwings is here, now they can look to re-engage, get the flash out of him down, but they got the knockup coming in from the Cyclone as well with a lot of damage. The flash away from Mir. Mir's gonna survive, but first blood picked up by Darkwings.
Well played by AOE. I love the buffer from Breezy, as he was actually able to catch that stun and Grand Entrance backwards, as that buys a lot of space from the rest of TL. Now APA does have Tabor's coming up pretty soon, but Lynx is here first.
And Mir is also too low. Look at how low Mir is.
Yeah.
Not having him in a position that he can actually try to fight back. That's why he wanted to heal up on the Raptors really quick. He'll look to re-engage. He's about to have cease and desist up. They could go for the feast out of this, waiting for it. Yeah, they're going to just feast Breezy there from Bradley, and huge stun into the back line. But look at how much damage they're getting onto Concept. Zombie form now as Bradley cutting back, looking for Concept to scare them away. They pick up the Rift Herald, but they deny it from Zombie, so there's not going to be Concept getting it either.
Good fight from TL on the back half as ults were down. TL stick around because their ults were actually coming back up. If AOE decided to extend for that Herald, Mir would have that cease and assist back to try and deny that from them. As AOE scrappy early. Swain does bring some strength to these fights, but not enough. As we take a second look, this was very interesting. So yeah, stun goes wide from Ken Down, but does get the crash. I love that, though. He was able to Grand Entrance away from the Annie stun, got out of the silence from Bradley, where he would have went down for sure. So now Kim's overextended with Mir, who has to burn Flash Q to get out. Kim goes down for free. Then in the long fight.
Here's the big problem. There's 4 ults actually down for AOE, with 2 ults still available on the side of TLC.
And just really good chain from the soul laners of TL as Bradley APA able to link up and make sure that level 5 Rakan does fall. Arrow goes in favor of AOE, but cannot get the eye as zombie form Concept gets stunned up and isn't quite able to get there.
Just shy of picking up the eye, so nobody is going to have that buff. No Shelly this time around. TLC, they'll take that one. At first, it seemed kind of disastrous, the fact that AOE were able to pick up that kill on a Kim Down. But I feel the alt economy there, that AOE needed to give a little bit more respect with how much they had to burn just to pick up that kill in the first place.
But I do want to... Okay. That's
Just keep going, Cubby. Just go to the next one.
No, it's going to happen again.
Go to the next one. Just keep it going.
Oh, hold on. Does that hit?
Nope.
Yeah, let's go.
Arrow's just like, come on, guys. I want to go to the base.
I don't know if he can now.
I don't think so, but that's going to be the demonic ascension. Darkwing's healing up forever. That's a lot of damage. They pick it up with a cyclone as well. Look at APA. Timber's not really helping out, and Darkwing's finally is going to fall. He's devoured by Bradley, but a double kill is there for Will as him and Breezy trying to get away, but with Bradley not having an ult anymore, doesn't have that burst potential. That's why they fall back.
We'll be able to sustain off the wave as, honestly, I like the plays for AOE just to stall that base in the top side for Arrow. He missed quite a bit off that, and Concept's going to pick up a plate on the top side. So I think it's kind of clever from AOE as they won out on the skirmish. Taking another look in the 3v3. They're trying to execute Swain. That's tough, man.
Takes a long time.
And it's a good combo from Wukong and Rakan to just buy space for the Swain, interrupts him down's crash down as he does fall in the end, but that was enough to at least make sure that it was a small trade in their favor.
That's the nice thing about having Swain. He's a pseudo tank. If you don't have any grievous wounds to kind of cut through that healing, or you don't burst him down quickly enough, he's just going to out-sustain you forever.
Well, we'll see if we can have AOE continue to make some good plays on the Rift here, Mad Magical, as looking across the scoreboard. I think that Cho'Gath's still going to be a big difference maker here in the side lane, as Bradley's going to get another plate for himself, and this matchup does not get any better for Sion as the game goes on. Concept will...
It seems about the same, honestly, throughout the whole game.
It just continues to get worse.
I feel like it's already on a bad level, and it's always bad. It never gets good at any point in the game unless you make a mistake as Cho'Gath.
Well, moving forward, I think Bradley got to keep an eye on him in this game. But also, Mir's going to be really careful about when he goes in. As so far, TL's gone in on the Swain twice, and they haven't been able to burst down Darkwings fast enough. And it's enabled Darkwings to get quite a bit of gold under his belt, as that is a Rylai's already completed. Gonna have to make sure that if they are going for that Swain, they can cleanly execute him, which is not easy. Especially when you have Will and Breezy holding the line as they have in these fights.
Well, how do you really burst him down? You have an Annie, and the whole job of an Annie is for burst. As look at him, he's just out sustaining. In fact, that was a Timbers dropped by APA. He wanted the fight initially, and he's taken down below. And same with Kim down. He had to go for the crash down away from the team to try to keep the Annie alive. But now, Mir, you stepped out a little too far. The flash forward. Hey, can they get the burn? Is it enough? No, it's not. He's going to survive. But now that Bradley's here, that is when you put threat back under Darkwings. He flashed away because he knew that Devour is going to be bad if he can get the feast stack on him. But it's a little too early. Still trying to kite it back out. Darkwings, the Rupture does not connect, but he doesn't need it because he's on a killing spree.
Dude, Cho'Gath just gets to walk forward this game. It's great. Bradley's loving his life with this 5-pick. Nothing can really threaten Cho'Gath as he loves to be in the mix. He does lose that top lane tower for that as AOE picks up first brick. So it's still AOE coming up with good plays here, Mad Magical.
Yeah, AOE is one thing that you always got to give them. They're very scrappy, and that's what we were talking about the early game. When you look at how they're able to play, it's all about trying to find these early skirmishes, utilizing Will, Darkwings, and Breezy. Think how many times these plays have been because of those trio.
And I want to highlight Will, because coming into this game, I said, you know, he's putting up some good score lines, but it feels like he's picking up stragglers. This game, Will's making the plays with his team. It's been really sound from AOE as they're playing as 5. And Mirror keeping up with focusing the Swain. They have been able to take him down initially. Darkwings just keeps on living, and it's made things a little bit more difficult for TL here.
But the biggest thing is that despite AOE getting these plays, after every single one of them, it feels like Bradley just saunters his way over and is like, all right, I'm here to clean up. All right, feed the Cho'Gath, let me feast, let me get big. And I think that's going to, you already talked about it, Covey. That's going to be a huge problem here for AOE. How do you stop this Cho'Gath from always doing that?
Ezreal is the only thing that can deal with Cho'Gath, and your Cho'Gath. So look at that Q. That did minimal damage. As Bradley walking up with Kim down to get the move speed buff. Concept's coming from behind. Look at Concept.
Choo-choo as they already blow up Kim down. Should be the first casualty. Finally falling the flash away from Arrow to survive. But they got the kill onto Lynx. And look at Mir taking a lot of the damage and a lot of the focus of Will. But Bradley, the big juggernaut, got the focus. Double kill from Will. They crush the beast. Kaiju cannot crush Tokyo today as they got the re-engage from Breezy onto Arrow. Cleanse, not going to help you when they flash forward. Decimating smash kill.
APA is going to go down 2 in the back half as TL. They were split with where they took that fight. AOE were able to actually stay together as a 5-stack. They got Bradley too.
They're just going to clean up APA on top of it.
Yeah, TL, I mean, I don't think they're changing how they play up into the Swain that well. They're just jumping into Wukong Swain and AOE. They love the setup for these fights. They're staying as a 5-stack and taking TL down as we take another look. Kim down, it's a good ult from Concept to create an angle. Kim down is blown up by Will and Breezy as they force Xayah to flash over the wall. So then Arrow can't really DPS anymore. APA takes down the Ezreal, but then look at this stack. Darkwings just cruising around, man. No one can deal damage to him. He loves his life. Xayah has to be the one that rips through Swain. Xayah was forced out of the fight early by AOE, so I think really good fight there from Will and Breezy. Picking a really sound engage with Concept. That angle was tough for TL to deal with. They got split. They lose the fight.
They lose the fight, and it's an eventual ace. The only reason it didn't come up on the kill feed as that is because Kim Down did respawn. But all 5 members of TLC fell through all of that fighting around the Rift Herald. And the fact that AOE get the fight, they get 5 kills. Will is now 5-0 with the Eye of the Rift Herald in his inventory.
Man, and that cleaver is going to come in soon. That's going to start shredding the side of TL as this Wukong so damn strong as Mir. Oh,
Breezy canceling that out with a stopwatch. Nicely timed to make sure that even with seasoned assists, it doesn't really work out.
All right, you take those if you're on the side of AOE. The 3.5k gold lead looking safe at the moment. Ocean Soul, not the best role here for the side of AOE, but hey, keeping Swain topped off, it could be all right in their favor.
Exactly. I think that's going to be the big thing is that, yeah, it's not the greatest, but you'll have a lot more that you can utilize. It's going to be even harder to get Swain out of any lane. So they get that for themselves. But I kind of want to look at this gold graph, right? We were talking about Bradley and how important he has been for the team. But he's barely got more gold than Will at this point.
Will's been a monster. You ready for Will's career Wukong win rate?
Yes, I am.
13-1.
It's that high.
And he hasn't played it yet this split. He took it away from Mir.
Yeah, that was a takeaway, and he's 13-1. That is insane to hear. I mean, he is a player that likes to play aggressively, and Wukong definitely fits in that criteria, right? Play aggressively, work with the team. That has been a big thing for AOE. That Josh and I were talking about yesterday, where when it was with Winnie and when Skytech was on the team, they still played around those 3 and Darkwings. It was Winnie, Darkwings, Skytech. They always played aggressively together. They've swapped out 2 of the players here with Will and Breezy, but they're still going for the very same playbook that they did back in spring. And it feels like it's working a lot better now.
I mean, they're at the bottom of our standings at the moment, Alex.
I'm talking about right now.
Right now it's going damn well.
I'm not talking about in previous games. I'm talking about right now.
Yeah, we like to focus on the moment. We will take the right now, as I think Will and Breezy have had a really fantastic game. No surprise that Breezy is having a good game on Rakan, one of his better champions. As Breezy continues to be a player that I'm really glad is still in Challengers. Definitely deserves to have that slot, and is making a big difference here for AOE this game, as Kim Down taken very low off of that true shot barrage from Lynx. See the value and the poke of the Ezreal. Ezreal pretty much always guarantees you that mid lane priority, able to contest the wave, just given the range of Ezreal's kit. And Lynx almost to that Miramana spike, where Ezreal is so strong once that evolves. And that's a spot where I think it's going to be really difficult for TLC. Yet again, their engage has to be clean. The items are not helping them. I mean, look at the difference between Darkwings and APA on the scoreboard. That Rylai's was completed first, the Andres now to boot. Black Cleaver already done for Will. Mir's not even close to that item. Inventory is really strong for AOE right now as they throw their weight around and take that mid-outer turret.
They can very easily as well, and then go for an invade. They see Mir and Breezy. He's going forward for this one, a bit too far, in fact.
All right, well, I think he was trying to predict Mir's flash. Mir holding that and says, you know what, I'm just going to press R. Use you to get back under the turret myself, as he gets the safety, and Breezy blows a flash and goes down. That's an oopsie from him. We'll open up some space for TLC, as 220 away from this dragon. Bradley's chilling on the sideline. This turret will fall, and TLC gets some gold back in their pockets.
Get a little bit of gold back, a little bit of breathing room as well. Breezy, I'm glad that you were the one who jinxed him and not me, because he's also been someone I've always highlighted a lot. That play right there, a bit over ambitious. Like you said, maybe trying to predict what the movements of Mir. But ultimately, he's going to be back on the map. The team still has full control over the top quadrant. That it really seems like that's where they're trying to call TLC to. They're trying to get him away from the bottom half, not really caring about the dragon. Like you said, it's an ocean soul. Sure, a soul's a soul, but sometimes it's better, sometimes it's worse to play around, and you really want to try to get that Baron.
I think the Baron setup for AoE, it's going to be a little bit tricky because like they can poke a little bit with Ezreal, but they don't have the best burn of that Baron, and I think starting it against an Annie is tough. As the MR debuff across your entire team, yeah, it makes Tibbers a little bit stronger, and that's something that could be concerning for AoE if they do lose some health bars starting it. So I think AoE just going to stick to this dragon, but still, this is a point of the game where I really want to see AoE try and push the pace. Their inventories are really strong right now, with Miramana about to evolve. Even halfway towards that Sorelda's Grudge here on the side of Lynx. That's going to make a big difference and actually make it so that this Cho'Gath will be a lot easier to deal with for the side of AoE. So I think this is a team fight where TL has to be really careful if they want to take it or not. They have picked up some gold, but they have to pick their targets carefully because Lynx, if not dealt with at this point of the game, is way ahead of Arrow in the inventory.
This is the game plan of AoE as well. Early game goes over to the trio we talked about before. Late game is Lynx. Fall back onto the marksman and how he plays. And right there, not tagged by Tibbers. It was Breezy that took a lot of the attention. So they can go for the re-engage. You need to focus onto the carries because look what Darkwings is doing. But they got the kill onto Will. The pull back in will take down APA and Bradley. He's a big beast, but it's going to be getting Darkwings to go golden. Flashing away. It's a double kill for Darkwings. The pull back in gets the Feather Storm. But look at Lynx the entire time. Free firing. TLC. Only the Rel's alive. They're going to pull back, and it's going to be AoE on the dragon.
I want to give a lot of props to Breezy there. He went in with low health bars, found the knockup onto Bradley, and Bradley never got that ultimate off as he touched down and died. Taking another look, APA finds a good chunk onto Breezy. So he's forced out early, and Will melts in this fight. So yeah, it's a good engage onto APA, but a good ult combo from Kimdown actually pulls Will into Arrow, and he dies. Concept buys a lot of space, gets Arrow to stop auto-attacking, and Darkwing starts ripping through the team. Going golden was huge there as Arrow flashed in. Darkwings went golden, and he lives for way too long. And that buys enough time to actually take down Bradley on the bottom part of the fight. So AoE, Darkwings, I think that going golden there, really fight-saving, and then Breezy finding Bradley on the back half as well. Very good.
And it's funny, because Lynx, he's 0, 1, and 4, so you don't feel like he did that much, but he was getting a lot of free damage on Cho'Gath. That's why they were able to cut him down so quickly. And now, APA, Kimdown, stepping out where they don't belong. They do get the kill onto Lynx, and that's going to be big as they go for the re-engage, but that huge charge onto Arrow. No escape for him. Darkwing still healing up forever, finally killed off by Mir, but it's a trade of 2 for 2 at the moment. The mid lane and ADCs are both dead on either side. Breezy is really low, and he wants to re-engage, tries to get the knock up with the rupture onto 2 members. He could win this one, but Mir was not a part of it. It was a 2v3 for the longest time.
Right, they didn't have ultimates coming back up. Props to Mir finding Darkwings and getting out. That was really good from TL. And key that Mir was actually able to do that and get out, because if Mir goes down, that is likely the Baron started for the side of TL. Also, love that fight from AoE. Thinking about the ult economy, the cooldowns. First off, they pretty much one-tapped APA from the start, but also Arrow. That Xayah ult is a very long cooldown, especially earlier in the game. So fighting right after the initial fight at Dragon, they were able to get to Xayah with no ult and no sums available on Arrow. Lynx going down early, I'm not exactly sure how that happened, but I do like the take from AoE. I think playing fast when sums are down here, really nice from them as they are ahead.
Yeah, if we get a replay, we can hopefully look and see exactly how Lynx died, but I think it was purely the, Bradley on the other side.
Yeah, I think
Bradley
it was
wasn't a part.
Mir Bradley.
Mir Bradley. They were just kind of on top of him, so he couldn't escape. And with that, it seems good for AoE. They do get the 2 kills, but I think that Team Liquid needed a little bit of reprieve there. They traded evenly in the fight, so they get a bit more time. They could scale up just a little bit more. And now everyone on both sides have all their ults up. And I feel like even though it's a 30,000 gold lead for AoE, TLC still have plenty of avenues to find more of these plays that could work out well, especially if Arrow is able to get a lot of free fire off himself.
Still tough going up against all the circles that AoE have to boot. And also, I think Breezy on this Rakan playing this fights really well. I love when you have main engage as Rakan, you get to piggyback off of it. Like,
Yes.
Rakan Wukong is just so easy, right? Because you can press R and then E to Wukong as everyone knocked up, land the charm, and then chain the knockup of your own. So I think Breezy and Will have played that combo really well. Expect that from our Challengers players, but hey, props to them still for executing as...
Well, it also feels like Will and Breezy have been really learning how to play with one another perfectly well. That's why I was kind of trying to highlight the fact that it's a different trio out of the mid jungle support, but it feels like they're playing a very similar style. They're learning the strengths and weaknesses of one another. Plus, Will and Breezy don't have the benefit that Winnie and Skytech had with even Lynx, right? They didn't play for the same collegiate team. These are two new players coming into a whole new split and having to learn how to play with one another.
And good to see Breezy continue to evolve their play, really, because Breezy is someone that we feel like has gotten better and better each split in Challengers. So even with the new team, AOE, of course, he was staying on CLG Challengers, but now having the opportunity to swap. I know that they are lower in the standings at the moment, but still, I feel like Breezy's had good games, and the meta swap, more engaged supports coming in, that really is where Breezy and a lot of our supports do excel.
Agreed. Breezy, and I've always advocated for him for that reason. I think him on engage has always been good. Even the Renata Glask playing that with the flash forwards, that he does really well. So seeing how he's been playing a lot of these team fights alongside Will and Darkwings, it's been a good look for them. And it kind of continues this trend that I was talking about before for TLC, where it feels like even though they're the #1 team, they're 3 games ahead of second place being FlyQuest Challengers. They're at the precipice of losing to yet another team that's in last place.
They are. It's going to be tricky for them to bounce back, but a couple good things going for TL. That LDR in the inventory for Xayah will make a very big difference, especially against the Scion. And that is a Rylai's for Annie, so a lot more control, but have to be careful about Darkwings. They really can't blow Darkwings up, and he does have that Zanya's. So he'll have to play these fights a little bit slower and try to outrange this Swain if you want to have a chance.
Also, Lynx having that Trellis completed, you were talking about that before, is going to start hurting Bradley a lot as he lands some of that poke. Of course, he's got to avoid a lot of the CC lock.
Down too.
Look at this. They're popping the battle song. They want to threaten TLC, but it's going to be Concept on the other side, getting a lot of the attention of Mir and taking no damage for it.
I actually really like how Arrow stepped up there, got some free damage on the Will, but this is going to be the Dragon start as that wave dies. This isn't off. Lynx, very valuable at this position as TL don't really have an angle just walking into the Ezreal. Mir's the one who's trying to work their way to the side, and he's in here not spotted, and he knows it.
Oh yeah, they have no idea. You should suspect something, and there he goes for the engage in the backline.
Oh,
He's focused on Lynx, but Lynx, he dashes away, and look at how much damage is on Arrow. Force the Feather Storm, and they get the kill onto him, while Lynx still kiting Mir. He should fall, and the kill onto Will. That's going to turn things around. AOE, what just happened now? You just got beaten in the fight that you wanted inside of the pit, and it's TLC, the #1 team, bouncing back in this game and saying, no, we will not lose to another 10th place team. We'll pick up one more as Breezy runs away, barely surviving the chase down from APA.
No one could take down the Cho'Gath, man. He was too big in that front of the fight. As I had to take a second look, I was watching how Mir was able to get onto Lynx. The engage was good. It took Lynx away. Arrow was removed from the fight, though, immediately. So, in all the chaos, TL just able to reign supreme.
And the big thing was that you talked about it. Mir got Lynx out of the fight. Who has been cutting through Bradley every single one of these fights, Cubby? It has been Lynx. Not having the free-firing Ezreal meant they had little damage to actually cut through all those resistances. I
need a second look at this one, because I was watching Mir get to Will and then get to Lynx. So the engage from Kim down and Mir doesn't quite connect on the Lynx. He's able to buy a lot of time, and Arrow goes down immediately to Darkwings, but then how does everyone else fall? I mean, it's a big rip from Arrow. It sets up a pretty decent knockup from Brad. It's actually ignored by Will, who went golden, but Will falls. And then they just focus down Darkwings. Bradley is just not able to be dealt with. He's too tanky and doing too much damage on the Cho'Gath. As, let's see, Mad Magical? Do we have a Mad Magical?
Yep, sorry. I forgot I muted for T. That's okay.
Oh,
I was just saying.
We mute for T.
We mute for T because we don't want the noise coming through the broadcast.
Oh, well, that's very kind of you. I'm gonna... That's why we have sips, my friend. Don't need to have that.
I
As
have,
someone
a
that
ton
did
of
just
honey,
get,
I have a ton of honey in mine, so
Oh, okay.
no, that's not happening.
I did just get the slurps on the LCS broadcast with the smoothie skit, but maybe I shouldn't be talking here.
All right, but going into what I was saying while I was muted, Lynx, the big factor. I think that is something that AOE have to consider going into this next fight, because he is the only one who is itemized to deal with Bradley. And if Mir continues to be a nightmare situation for this Ezreal, just constantly point and click stun, looking for Ezreal in every one of these fights, you have to be ready to peel back for that Ezreal to get everyone off of him, so that way he can actually get that damage out.
That was massive from Mir, as picking up Lynx pretty much solo was pretty clutch for TL, and they are able to narrow out that gold lead and most importantly prevent that soul as Mir. That's
Looking
everyone.
for the engage. That's TP and Mir. You didn't want that fight. That's going to be Guardian's Angel pop with no escape out either. Shut down onto the jungler. And your uh-oh's right, because guess what? AOE starting.
That's Baron with no smite, man, as TL will see if they can get on in here.
They do have Cho'Gath. That is one nice thing about having him on your team. You can always feast the Baron, but it's getting burned down. When do you try to get in the pit? You can't get on top of Ezreal anymore. And in the back line, but Will has Guardian's Angel. Breezy's low. He's devoured, but they got the kill on the APA. And Lynx that entire time still free firing, untouched, unscathed. Only Tibbers getting him at bay. But look at Bradley chasing away Dark Wings' concept. He's tanky. He's running away, but the Rupture's going to connect. Ezreal still chipping at Bradley, trying to take him down the best he can. The Roar does nothing, and Snipe comes in from Lynx. The fight from the AOE marksman, yet again, taking everyone down. Triple kill for Lynx.
Mir wasn't able to be involved. I don't know if they can even do this, because Mir's coming back. It is spotted. All right, can Mir be a hero?
Mir, can you get in the pit? It's getting low. They don't have the smite. You have it. You know that they know that you're there, and that you know they know that you know that they're there. But can you get inside of the pit is the big question. Is he's waiting, timing it out. Lynx keeping him at bay at the moment. That's going to be the TP in. Not having the Salt Breaker going. Waiting for APA as well. They're kiting it back, looking for the play onto APA. Re-engaging. Breezy's back. Knock up into the air. APA and Mir are both gone.
Well played, AOE. They bide their time, and it looks like they're going to take down TL as they're going to get Baron with a minute left on the soul for them. What a good fight from Lynx, able to kite back. I know Mir was taken out right away. TL had to play that one out 4v5. Not able to do so as AOE get the Baron. And our last place teams looking to take a game off our top dogs.
The Turo Baron buff for AOE. What a play there. And Lynx, the big factor in that one. I think not only just getting the pick onto the jungler, but the fact that the one player that has been able to deal with Lynx, that dealt with them in the previous fight that TLC won, they couldn't deal with him anymore because Mir wasn't there.
Arrow ended up falling in that fight too. I mean, I still think Arrow is a big key as well for what TL wants to try and accomplish, but TL really on the back foot now. How are they going to get out of this one? APA just got back. It's 10 seconds till this dragon spawns. TL are completely sacking mid as they know they have to try and play for this dragon, prevent the soul, and the only way they can do so is playing through bot.
Trying to do something, but look at AOE, keeping them at bay, corralling them in a sense into the spotlight, even getting Arrow, using the ult, the rip back, but it's on to Dark Wings, not the person you want. They're focusing him down. He goes golden, but he'll die upon arrival as they focus on to Bradley. Get the snipe, the kill. Lynx is dominating. He can't be stopped anymore. He's rampaging through TLC.
That's how you can beat Sion, man. Just take range. Lynx has done such a good... Oh, hold on, Lynx.
Oh, but Lynx, okay. Nice top watch there, but the team's got to defend him. Lynx, you shouldn't have jumped forward like that, but they still got a lot of damage. Mir's going to be bounced in the air. The rip back from Arrow, but with Darkwing still up, the damage still there. They don't have to worry about a Cho'Gath anymore. They can actually free fire onto the back line without being stopped, without being deterred. Killing spree for Darkwings. Arrow surviving with a sliver of health, but where are you going to go, buddy? The choo-choo train picks up the kill.
Concept just jumps in the Arrow. He got the ult back. We're back on the dragon. Mir's trying to heal off some jungle camps, see if he can get back into the pit. But
This feels
Concept's
like a
playing
similar
bodyguard,
play.
man.
This feels like a similar play, doesn't it, Cubby? Just around the dragon,
goodness.
but Mir will bail out of this one this time. And even though Lynx got caught out, diving forward a little bit over aggressively, AOE had already gotten rid of Bradley, so they didn't actually have to worry about having Ezreal part of the fight.
Well, Soul picked up. I think that makes the Baron buff worth it, as the Turo Baron buff at least gets them the Soul. They didn't take all the objectives in the world, but hey, you know what? They at least got that down.
Yeah, using the Turo Baron buff, getting themselves Ocean Soul, and they still have Baron buff for a little bit longer, so maybe... Nah, never mind. Not even maybe. They're not going to get anything further off of this one.
Still, I mean, I think Soul's rather worth it. TL, the only chance they have now is to flip Elder and hope that comes up their way, as I gotta say, the Swain, it has Spirit Visage now, so as long as you're able to keep Xayah out of these fights, it still is rather clutch, but oh, this is tense.
He's also got a Blighting Jewel, too, so he actually is going to start hurting.
No.
The bait's there, and look at how much damage they just did, and Lynx jumped on. The one person who can deal with you is still alive. You try to get back, but man, Lynx is hurting, and he's landing those Mystic shots. The Choo-Choo Train is trying to disengage. 3v5. They don't want to fight this one concept. Look at Mir trying to cut off the retreat of Lynx, but he realizes as well. He's got to go back to the team, make sure they can chop down this Scion.
Okay, great trap from TL as they sat on a control board that Blue Trinket actually told AOE, hey, we only think Arrow's here. They missed the core of TL, who were able to blow them up with the big Tibbers, so TL get control back on the map now. And this game is entering certified banger status. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like Lynx is just going to kill him down easily.
Yep, okay. Yep, that's a freebie over for Lynx, as this is a very fat Ezreal.
Yeah, he is
Level
nearly
18.
full build. He is nearly full build.
Double buffs. Things feel pretty good here if you're Lynx.
Yes. Just don't jump forward again like we saw previously and dive. But outside of that,
That'd be nice.
He was even able to kite back Mir after Mir got the ult on top of him. The big factor is starting to struggle to actually get through this Ezreal, who's actually able to heal up on now too. Things are getting really dire here for TLC, despite the fact they have been finding a lot of these picks afterwards, kind of delaying the game. But how long can you delay against an Ezreal, Cubby?
Especially if Lynx is able to get GA for the next fight, as that's 2 GAs then for the side of AOE, so TL will have to walk away with 7 kills. And that's a tall task, you know? That's not easy.
No, I'm struggling to see how they get through the 2 GAs, how they struggle already to get through Darkwings with the Zhonya's on top of him, and you called out that Spirit Visage. But looking at the Annie, APA, he is recalling. No, he's deciding to call it off, but they're going for it. They're looking for Lynx. They've silenced him as well, but he's still flashed out of there. They've got 1 GA pop for the fight back. The damage on the Kim down. The stun from APA. The burn picks up Lynx, and they've taken out the carry. Looking at Arrow, free firing. Look to get the chase down. They've got the kill for Will, but how low are AOE? TLC finding the fight as Darkwings, flashing forward. How can you get through them? Trying to pull back in. Demonic Ascension. Breezy wants to help out too. They've got the Eye of Vision, but it doesn't actually do damage, as you still are not taking enough to deal with the Shogat. Where's the damage when Lynx is dead? AOE bounced up. It might take forever and a day to kill Darkwings, but they eventually can do it.
What an angle from TL. APA came from Narnia to actually find Lynx in the back half. As TL are somehow executing these fights, they're able to get on the Ezreal. As AOE, they're not stopping what they need to stop in order to protect this Ezreal. You have to find Annie and try and slow her down. That combo from Mir and APA was sound, and they're actually going to TP in and try and burn this Baron on spawn.
Because it actually kind of works to the detriment of AOE. The fact that it takes so long to kill Darkwings means his death timer is way off from the others.
Ladies and gentlemen watching, this is game 1 of a 6-game day. We're entering scrim territory here. So we have an absolute banger of a game. Our second Turo Baron buff of the game on the enemy team now. As TL able to pick that one up for themselves. And now it's all going to come down to this Elder here in a $140, man. Magical.
Both teams have gotten the Turo Baron buff. This time with TLC, and like you said, 1.5 minutes until Elder spawns. The burger flip for either team, because we are dead even in gold at 40 minutes.
GA picked up for Lynx this fight. Arrow has one as well. So, in a way, you know, it's a 6v6 coming in. It's Breezy. Breezy has a good angle.
You got that Zhonya's about to come up for Darkwings as well.
Yeah, I think AOE, they have to play one side of the map, so they've done a good job of taking control of the bot side. Just protect Lynx and make sure that you're able to front to back, keep on finding these Qs. But TL just man-moding down mid because they know they have to catch this wave high if they actually want to get into the other side of the jungle and take away some of the vision.
The fact that it's just Concept in the mid lane as well, he can't really clear out the wave. So they try to pull back. They've got to push up pretty far. 45 seconds until that the dragon spawns, and Concept taking a little bit of the focus, but he's still very tanky. So is Bradley. Hard for any of the members to actually do anything. And like you said, Arrow being chunked already from the True Shot barrage that Lynx threw out before.
It was a Swain W and an Ezreal R. They got Arrow there. Now he can heal off the wave, so they should let Arrow auto this for himself. You can
It's
see
hard for him to step up. Look at that. Every time they're trying to chip him out, he's going to get that wave. He's going to heal up to full.
PA is actually looking for the topside jungle just in case Lynx is there. They do have a ward on Lynx. Breezy's behind. Breezy's in Narnia. If they fight now, it's really good.
And same with
APA.
Flashing away from the Timers. It didn't connect, but they got the damage on his way. He can't sustain anymore. They have damage on Arrow. He's not going to die just yet. It's going to be the kill back 1 for 2. The shutdown as Lynx kiting the best he can, but he's losing everybody, even with a fast shield to snipe. There's not enough damage on Arrow. Instead, it is AOE falling at the hands of the #1 team. 42 minutes in, it looked like it was over for so long, Cubby, but TLC cannot be denied.
Dark Wings pops like a balloon to start off that fight. Even with the engage not connecting on Lynx, it was enough to keep him out of the fight, so Arrow was able to free fire. AOE wasn't able to build their angle in time, and so it was APA pulling the trigger. TL go first. Arrow's DPS is too much, and TL is going to somehow take this game.
They're getting these Nexus turrets, the second one to fall. Lynx dived on in the back line with no way out, and TLC pull off a miracle comeback in game 1 against AOE.
Soul be damned, first Baron be damned. It's all about how you execute the team fights. TL did a better job of playing together as that 5-stack. Credit to Mira and APA with some creative problem solving later on in the game to make sure that Lynx kept on going down. I think Mira's Vi ended up being the most valuable player later. Will did a great job of making plays early with Breezy, getting things going for AOE, but Mir's tunnel vision to just keep on taking down Lynx in the back half of those fights was really the big difference. As AOE is kind of like, all right, Lynx, you're on your own, right? Peel for yourself. You're Ezreal. Lynx was like, hey, I need help, man. Mir's on top of me the entire time. I can't do it on my own. Did he get the help? Mir kept on finding the kills. Ended up going TLC's way.
And then by the time that Mir was struggling to actually get enough damage, they're like, all right, APA, your turn. Cycle him out. Let's get someone new on a tag team. It worked out well for TLC.
That was what was so good from TLC is that later on, yes, Mir was still attacking the Ezreal, but he was doing it just to blow Summoner spells so that APA could come in, actually find those executions. That was really well done by TLC. Good problem solving in the back half by them.
That's why they're the #1 team currently in the LCS Challengers League, and they take game 1 after 42 minutes. We're going to toss to a break so we can get ready for our halftime show with Mazel, as well as get ready for game 2, so don't go anywhere.
The LCS Challengers League is brought to you by Turo, the world's largest car-sharing marketplace. Find your drive.